Make your life successful with successfulvaishnavas.com, where we interview devotees who have done wonderful things, and we discuss how to be successful in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, welcome back to episode 10 of Successful Vaishnavas. In this episode, we will be hearing a short snippet from a class given by His Holiness Giriraja Maharaj on the topic of balancing Krishna consciousness and work and the importance of self-care. So before we get into that interview, I'd like to remind everybody, if you have not had the chance, please have a listen to the replay of our recent hangout. In this hangout we discussed what I see are some of the common problems in our Krishna Consciousness Society, problems that are commonly faced by devotees in our society, and what I see as some important solutions to those problems. In that hangout I also introduced the Successful Vaishnavas online course and explained what that course is all about and how you can be involved. At this point in time, we're looking for a small group of devotees who can become what we could call the beta testers of that course. So we're offering this course for a very low price in order to have some people test it out and help us to improve it so that we can share it with many, many devotees and hopefully make a difference in our society and in the lives of many devotees who take that course. So in order to access the replay that explains all about this, go to successfulvaishnavas.com/hangout. And if you're listening to this in the future, you can still go to that link, because even though the hangout I'm talking about right now may not be there, future hangouts or future webinars that I hold will always be at that place. So no matter when you're listening to this, that's a good place to go to find out what's the most recent developments in the Successful Vaishnavas project. So in terms of things that are happening personally, I can share a little bit more about the Cleaning the House project. As you know, last week we got the shelves put in by our professional builder, and we're still working on the toy room. One technique which I often share with people is when you want to clean a house, it can be overwhelming to do everything at once. So one technique that I use, and I'll actually share with you one time when I used this, my wife Nikunja, she went to Australia for the Holy Name Festival last year with Satchidananda Swami and Madhava and Sri Prahlad. And when they were away, I really wanted the house to be super clean when she came back. So what I did is I basically started from one end of the house and took a big box and I just threw everything into that box that didn't belong in that particular room, and then I took it all and kept it in the toy room. So all of a sudden, instantly, the house looked good. It's a very quick way of cleaning. And then of course from that point it's a matter of going and sorting through those boxes. But that's the next level. So that's pretty much what we've done recently, is we have started with the places that we use often, the kitchen and the lounge, and as I mentioned, we've been getting a cleaner for 1 hour a day. And that's been really helpful because it means that guaranteed the dishes will be done, the vacuuming and the mopping, and the day-to-day things are done, which allows us some time to focus on some more subtle types of cleaning. In fact, because the cleaner's coming regularly, there's often not many dishes to do. And so the cleaner is not only able to do the basic things, but she can also help by cleaning down some walls, doing some dusting, window cleaning, other things which we may not have the time to get around to. So we've actually got the place looking really good. The kitchen and the lounge, almost all the time, looking clean. And this is very helpful, the delegation to make things happen. But we still had some work to do in the toy room, and that's what we're working on now, and it's gradually getting there, because the toy room is where we have those boxes of sort of unsorted things, and now we're starting to work through those things and tidy on a deeper level. And at the same time, we're getting the cleaner to also make the lounge and kitchen even more clean by wiping the walls and not just clearing away the gross mess, but also cleaning in a more subtle way. It reminded me of Lord Chaitanya's Gundicha pastime, where first of all all the devotees would go through and just clean everything very quickly, you could say, and clean out the big rocks and the big dirt. And then they would go through again with water and they'd clean again, and this time clean in a more thorough way. So that's the technique we've been following at home. First of all, we just tried to clear out the areas that were public and that we use often, get the routines happening, and then put the things that we don't have time to deal with now in one room. And now we're going through that room so that we're actually going to have a completely clean house, and we're also cleaning to a higher standard now. So it's very inspiring. It's been a long process, but every week we notice that the house is becoming cleaner. Now, there is a small detail which I would like to share with you. You may be wondering how the house got like that. Well, you may be able to pick up a few hints as we go along, but I will give away the secret at the end. My wife was not feeling very well, and so she wasn't able to spend time in the kitchen. Some of you may have picked up the hint already. She couldn't handle the smell, and she needed to rest a lot more than normal. So that's when, because I was busy with other priorities, especially the Successful Vaishnavas project, that's when I employed the cleaner, so that she could take up the day-to-day cleaning tasks that my wife was not able to do. Also, around about this time, just the other day, a couple of days ago, I found a small praying mantis on our doorstep. Now, you may wonder, what has this got to do with anything, but we'll get there. And I didn't just randomly, I thought, let me take a photo of it, because I kind of like taking photos, an artistic leaning I have sometimes. So I took this photo of this praying mantis and just put it on Facebook and just said, look, this is a little creature that I found at my house. And the funny thing was that one devotee made a comment and said, in Maori culture, if you find a praying mantis in your house, it indicates that someone is pregnant. And I just cracked up. I thought that was hilarious. Because if you haven't figured it out yet, the reason why my wife Nakunja was not able to handle being in the kitchen, it's because she's pregnant. And we're expecting our third child. And as many of you may know, when you're pregnant in the early stages, often you suffer from morning sickness when you're very sensitive to smell and you don't feel like eating anything, and often vomit, and it's not a very pleasant situation. And that was the situation that Nakunja was in. Thankfully, she's feeling a lot better now, and she's helping with the cleaning. But we've kept the other cleaner on so that she can take care of a portion of the cleaning, and we can take the cleanliness of our house to another level. Now, you might think, oh, this guy's a cleansing freak. Well, not really. As I mentioned, when Nakunja was sick, things were getting a little messy. But also, we understand from our teachings in Krishna consciousness that having a clean environment is very favorable for our Krishna consciousness, and it is very helpful for coming to the mode of goodness. So that's the reason why I was thinking to myself, let's make a real effort to bring our level of cleanliness up to a higher standard. It'll help us to be in the mode of goodness, which will help us to be more Krishna conscious. It'll mean that when we chant our rounds, our environment will be more conducive, and it'll also help us to achieve more in the things that we're doing, because we're in an environment that is not ignorance. Ignorance means that everything becomes lazy and procrastinating, whereas a clean environment, we feel inspired to do things. So that's an update on our Clean the House project, and a little bit of background about what led to starting that project. One of the points which comes from that project, as I've mentioned before, is the importance of delegating. We can save ourselves a lot of time and achieve a lot more in a short space of time when we get other people to help us. Now, this is something that I'm reminding myself at the moment. because in preparing the Successful Vaishnavas online course, I found myself spending quite a lot of time trying to set up the website, and I'm sure I could have found someone who could have helped me to do that and save me that time. I did have help to do those things, but it wasn't someone that was specifically expert in that area. So that's another point about delegation, is that we should delegate things to the right people so that we actually, once again, know the purpose, to achieve more in less time. So personally, one other thing which I need to work on at the moment is my exercise program. One of the things that I do that helps me to focus on the exercise is by entering a race, because I find that if I have a goal, it motivates me to exercise. I'll think, oh, I better go for a run because I have that 10K race coming up, or I better go for a swim because I have that triathlon coming up. I find it's really helpful for me. So I haven't had a race for the last few months, and I've definitely noticed that my exercise program has slipped away. And it's one thing that I want to pick up on, because I can feel that my energy levels are dropping because I'm not doing that regular exercise. So today's talk by His Holiness Giriraja Swami talks exactly on this topic. I've just extracted a small portion of a talk that he gave at someone's house recently. And in this talk, he talks about how if we want to help others, we have to take care of ourselves and get a balanced life. So just before we hand you over to His Holiness Giriraja Swami, one final reminder to check out successfulvaishnavas.com/hangout to hear the most recent hangout that we've recorded, and to find out more about the Successful Vaishnavas online course. You can also leave a voice message on the website. Just click on the button that pops up on the right hand side of the screen and tell us what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, here's Giriraj Swami. Hare Krishna.
I was always very fortunate when I was working prior to what I do now, and that I ran a prasadam business and was able to very easily dovetail everything I was doing, change my schedule, rearrange anything I wanted to support preaching and Krishna consciousness and the likes. But now with my occupation, I don't have that facility working for other people under the constraints of their demands. And that's a very common scenario for, I would think, most of the people in the room. Most of us have jobs, not businesses. So we don't have a lot of facility for moving around and trying to adjust for preaching opportunities. Can you elaborate a little or give some pointers or what we can do in that scenario, that situation? Please. I do this too a lot, I'm sorry, but I did these complicated questions that go on my mind. I saw how it is.
Well, we have to find a balance. It's the same principle in whatever situation we're in. We have to find a balance. And of course, there are many employers who want to get the most out of you for the least.
True.
And we can't expect them to be any different. There can be exceptions, but generally. So we have to sort of negotiate a schedule with them that enables us to maintain our balance. And what constitutes our balance may change. It always does change. So it can't be fixed. I mean, it may happen that someone who's starting out in a job may choose to work more and, earn more and save more so that later, he or she will be able to enjoy more spiritually. But even then, we really have to be careful not to work too much and not have enough time for our spiritual life. A common example, more from a different period in ISKCON's history, but many devotees at a certain stage were engaged in business activities for the temples. Selling candles, selling paintings, selling different things. But because of the morning program and the association of the devotees, they gave the money to the temple, and the money was used to develop projects. But after a while, when they became a little slack, they started thinking, well, why should I do it for the temple? I can do it for myself. And then they would do the same work, but for themselves. And it was, I'll give half to the temple, then a quarter, then 10%, and then, eventually.
The temple's doing fine.
Yeah, they don't need my money. In fact, I can use it better than the temple. So yes, there can be some variation in a person's balance over time, in a person's career or devotional life, but one has to do that. Our friend Giriraj Swami, His Holiness Giriraj Swami, was at one stage very fond of Stephen Covey. And he really, really wanted me to read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I was not reading anything other than scripture. But I got a kidney stone. And eventually, through some process of medical advice, or sifting through different types of medical advice, I decided to take some homeopathic pill that was meant to either dissolve the stone or break it, or some combination, and drink coconut water, which is a diuretic, and just sit in my gumshoe near the bathroom and just keep passing water until it came out. So I thought, all right, I'm going to read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So that was like my project in that particular condition. And Stephen Covey's quite ingenious about quadrants. And so in one such conception, he has 2 dimensions, courage and considerateness. And like someone can be very considerate of others, and that goes with like win, 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 lose, lose, win, and lose, lose. You know what that means? Win, win means I win and you win. We both gain. Win, lose is, sort of the aggressive materialistic idea. Like, I win and you lose. Tough luck. And then there's you could say, like a caregiver, but not a balanced caregiver, like you win and I lose. So what Stephen Covey's... All right, so the person who's in the mood of win-lose, like, I win and you lose, and that's tough for you. That's like, he's courageous, but he's not considerate. And the person who's, you win and I lose, that person is considerate, but not courageous. And the lose-win eventually becomes lose-lose, because the person in the lose-win mentality will not be able to sustain it. And then ultimately the person will have to drop out of that, and then everyone loses. And so he says the ideal is that you're considerate, you want to help the other person, but you're also courageous enough to speak up and say what you need for yourself so you can sustain your work. And that's win-win. So that's what we have to strive for in any situation, and in caregiving professions also, it's very important. As His Holiness Giriraja Swami says, you count two. In other words, when you make a calculation of what's best, don't just consider everyone else, but you count two. You also have to be a factor in the equation, and then you come out with the final conclusion. Hare Krishna.
Thanks for listening. To find out more, go to successfulvaishnavas.com.
Whatever little service that anyone can do for Krishna is to be appreciated and celebrated.
Just give this life to Krishna. We know that they have much more potential than they are presently using.
I went to a place of relishing the activity and letting go of the result completely.
You just associate with pure devotees. Then you shall be able to cross over the ocean of Nisan.